Regulars on the channel will know my complicated, we'll call it, history with Bugsnax. A lot of those videos are my top performers, and I'm honestly pretty happy with those videos. They're basically conspiracy joke videos. I don't actually believe that shit. Sorry to anybody who just got the mask taken off. But it's fun. Obviously, it's just a bunch of fun. Um, but Bugsnax, the game itself, is honestly not just a bunch of fun. But it does have a good ending. Uh, the game is very reminiscent of two games, Pokemon and Slime Rancher. A lot of catching. There's different zones to go into. Um, which is basically, I mean, the catching. There's a whole like encyclopedia of things. It's very Pokemon-esque. The zones are very Slime Rancher-esque. Different biomes, basically, for different parts of the game, which is interesting. I'm not really a big fan of it. A lot of going between the biomes has load times, which is kind of weird on the PS5, because that's what they were kind of seeking to remove. Obviously, it doesn't have the budget of like a first-party game, but there wasn't a single loading screen in Miles Morales, which I also played through, and I'm going to review on the channel hopefully tomorrow when this video comes out. Um, but there were loading screens, which was really disappointing to see, especially from a game so touted by Sony. But I understand it's a smaller developer team, but it is definitely a negative from the game launching on PS5 to not really take advantage of the SSD as much as I think it could have. Now, granted, those loading times are not super long, but they're definitely noticeable compared to other PS5 games. Bugsnax gameplay is where it kind of starts to fall short. Um, it's pretty fun actually for the first little period of time, but about halfway through you get all the tools you can use, and about halfway through is also where it stops being interesting to catch them, because a lot of them are just variants of the old ones past that point, and even the ones that aren't have very similar methods to catching them as older ones. So a lot of the charm kind of dies off. They also get annoying as you go up. They get much more annoying, and you're not really scaled up to deal with the more annoying ones as easily. So you just have to hope that you get the right set of circumstances, and a lot of times you have to reload the areas over and over again just to get it to work. The character quests also kind of suck. About 90% of the quests in this game have to do with just catching Bugsnax and feeding them to the people, which kind of sucks. There's some areas where they deviate a little bit from that, but for the most part, it is very much just fetch quests for Bugsnax, which is disappointing. The story is also sadly fairly slow. Every once in a while, there will be kind of like a scene where the story picks up, but then it just drops off a cliff again. I'm not going to spoil it, but it comes to a good ending, but the story itself isn't very entertaining. None of the characters are that likable, in my opinion. I mean, they're like these little soft kind of creatures, but a lot of them can be very, very obnoxious. And I didn't want to do any of the side quests. I did a couple, but they're not fun, and the characters aren't very fun to deal with. Now, what could be seen as a negative for some games, but a positive, I think, for Bugsnax is that the game is fairly short. It's not a full $60 release. I think it's only $30. I got it for free with PS Plus. Um, but it's nice, and it's nice to just have a shorter experience like that, especially starting out on the PS5 with so many games to play, and not a lot of people I think are gonna want to spend 20 hours playing Bugsnax. I know I certainly wouldn't have wanted to. Um, so it is good to have kind of a shorter story, especially with the story going nowhere fast until you get to the very end. Um, I'm gonna give Bugsnax a 8 out of 10, which sounds very high considering I was criticizing it the entire time. But I want to make it clear that the gameplay is just boring. It's not necessarily bad. It functions pretty well. It just tends to be a little bit boring, and I cannot really say why. I just know it's the ending that makes it an 8 out of 10 for me. The ending is so fucking entertaining. I can't say why. The ending's so entertaining without spoiling it, but just know it is. It very much makes it an 8 out of 10, but the gameplay itself, probably closer to a 6 out of 10.